Hey everyone, happy Sunday. This is Corey Strothman with Grace in Your Corner. And today I wanted to do a vlog and talk to you about something that's been more present in my life than I ever expected it would be lately, and that is frustration and dealing with frustration. It was just a couple days ago on social media, I posted a quote as I was writing down thoughts that just kind of formulated in my head, and I want to read that to you real quickly here. It's, I encounter frustration much more than I anticipated. My frustrations arise from refusing to negotiate on the high quality of life I now understand that I deserve. If the frustration stopped, then there would be a cause for concern, but until then I'll partner with prayer and focus on what I can control. So a lot there, kind of got rambling on that, but essentially what it was saying is, man, I'm recognizing my emotions of frustration are frequent, but I also wanted to reflect on, is that okay? Are frustrations normal? And they absolutely are normal. And why hadn't I noticed in the past dealing with those frustrations? So I want to kind of unpack that a little bit today and go from there. So let's just back up and start with what is frustration. And there's many, you can look online, there's many different definitions of frustration, but the one that really stuck out to me is it's an insecurity or it's dissatisfaction if you have an unresolved problem or if you have an unfulfilled need. And that hits the nail on the head for me, that trying to accomplish something and it's not being fulfilled. That's when I am running into my frustration, is I believe that this should be happening and it's not. And that is very, very, very frustrating to me. It causes those emotions of anger, of self-doubt, of worry, and what is going on with that? So I really had to stop and think about, why is it that I am feeling more frustrated? Is it because of the move that I had with my family, which I feel like we were settled in? We're almost 2 months in. We are 2 months in, or is it other factors? And I thought, in the past, I might not have been as frustrated with things that I typically might have assumed that I would, is because of all the depression and the self-doubt and the tricks, the disease that my mind would tell me, is that I was not worthy. That I was not worthy of these accomplishments, of these fulfillments. So therefore, my expectations on how my life should be, I would just bring them down a notch. Instead of saying, no, that is attainable, that I can do that I am worthy of making that happen. So more often than not, instead of saying, well, yeah, I can do that, I want to come up with a different plan, or I can do this through a certain avenue, I would just tell myself that, why would you even think that was possible? Why would you think that is something that you deserve? And I wouldn't become frustrated. I would just tell myself that's my life. And I'd move on, and I'd hide that, and it could lead to disappointment for a while, but I would just reevaluate my expectations, and they would just go lower and lower and lower. And when I was in my depressed moments, they were way down here. Sometimes when I was dealing with depression, my expectations and things that I would set out for was, I'm going to go wake up and try not to make anyone mad today. That's it. Might not be productive. Or I'm going to wake up and I'm going to try to hide to let people know that I just don't feel like I belong in the group today. That's all the higher my expectations were. But now that I've had the opportunity, I've worked through faith, I've worked through building my self-confidence up, understanding, exploring who I am, and being with my family, and surrounding myself with the support systems that I need, I understand, my goodness, I have a lot to live for, and I deserve a lot. My family, my friends deserve to be around a person that is living the life that they deserve. And that makes me say, okay, when I'm running into situations now that I expect to go one way and they're not being fulfilled or met, that's where my frustration's coming through. But what I'm doing is I'm telling myself, and I'm realizing that, hold on, pump the brakes on this. This is something that I deserve. This is a part of life that I'm going to achieve. And I need to find out how I can achieve that. But you know what? Because my two boys, my wife, my parents, my siblings, the friends around me, they don't deserve to be around someone that's not going to live up to these expectations, because I am worthy. I am worthy. God has a plan for me, and that is to go out and to live life in its fullest and live it in His Word. So now my frustration is coming more up frequently, because I'm thinking, man, I deserve this. This should be happening. Why is it not happening? And I'm going to give you the example that's just on the top of my mind, and this is where a lot of frustration has come from lately, and that is employment for me. In my journey over the last 13 months, it seems like I've been looking for employment for way too long of a period. And, I'm settled here. We've got things organized. We've got starting to get all the movements of moving to a new state, driver's license, car license, title, all the things under your name and organizations. I got that part done. Our family is settled. And now the employment part is just not showing up, and frustration is coming. A quick look into my life is 3-4 hours a day. I'm looking, where is the employment that I can do? And what jobs do I want to do? What jobs do I think I could do? I have a master's degree. I used to lead people, and nothing, no interviews, and I just become very frustrated. So that's where all of this is, just some background. That's where all of this is coming from. So then I have to think to myself, okay, I need to find that clear vision, because I'm frustrated and my expectations are up here. But if I'm frustrated daily, and if you're frustrated consistently, you do have to take a step back and realize and take a look at, okay, what is my expectations versus what is my reality? Because it is possible still to have your expectations too high. I deserve a 6-figure job. I deserve to only work Monday through Wednesday. I deserve this. Well, if those are my expectations during this job hunt, then guess what? I'm never going to hit those, and I'm going to have frustration consistently. It's a very thin line to try to walk and find between finding the set of expectations and quality of life that you deserve and inflating your reality. So I'm taking a step back and I'm looking at, what are my expectations versus my reality? And I need to understand that. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, I've got a master's degree. I'm looking at what I used to do and responsibilities that I had and what my resume shows. But then I have to take into the factor of the reality. And reality is that I'm trying to go from education to a different career field. And people have doubts about that. And they see education and they're not quite sure. I have to go to the reality that a lot of businesses, and everyone knows this, a lot of it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And I don't have any connections out here on the East Coast. I have to factor that into my reality. So I have to do more and more to try to work as hard as someone that already has those connections. And I also have to have the reality that, hey, I do have a blemish on my record. I have a DUI, and it's not, companies see that, and it's not easy. Yes, that's over a year ago, but when they see that, it makes it that much harder, and it puts up another red flag, and people that don't know me start to become hesitant. And I become frustrated because I know what I can do, but nothing's happening, and then I have to start to take these realities, and it's not always easy, but you have to focus in on the reality too. So I'm really looking at, okay, I might need an entry-level job. I might need to understand that I'm going to have to roll up my sleeves and prove myself because I'm doing a career transition. But I have to keep this under perspective. Otherwise, I'm going to be frustrated each and every day that I sit down at the computer and look for jobs. So that's just an example of my expectations and my reality and trying to find the sweet spot. But a way to do that too, and I was doing some reading, so I'm going to read this to you. A way is you have to build awareness of really why your frustration's there and where it's coming from. So just take a look at the situation, and if you can break it apart like I'm using in my example, try to break it apart and understand where it's coming from. And one thing I need to stop and say is frustration is normal. Okay, in my quote, I had said that if I wasn't becoming frustrated, then there would be a cause for concern. if Lauren was coming home and I wasn't frustrated that I wasn't getting a job, then that would just tell me I could be falling back into my depressed type stage where I just don't think that I deserve that. And I don't believe that I can meet those expectations. So becoming frustrated is still a positive sign that I know and I believe in myself. And I believe that there's a plan. So make sure that you understand those frustrations are normal. You just have to find out if the same thing is frustrating you and how often you're becoming frustrated. And then you can take a look at building that awareness. So some questions that you can think about, and I was reading on about this when I was starting to feel these emotions, is when you're going into a situation, ask yourself first, what do you expect to happen? If you're sitting down in an interview, what do you expect to happen right now? And take an honest look about that and ask yourself if you're being honest. And then after you do that, ask if your expectations should be that way. So again, we're going back to reality versus what your expectations are. Are they really realistic? And if they're not realistic, well then you have to go back to the drawing board. And sometimes it's very hard to admit to yourself whether it's realistic or not. And that's when you can go to that core support group that you have and you can talk to them about that. I have a therapist appointment on March 5th, and I can guarantee you that this will be one of the conversations that I have with my therapist is the frustrations of this and bouncing off. Tell me, am I being realistic? Because an outside perspective or a perspective that someone can hold you accountable and let you know is very important. Not someone that's just going to nod and say, oh, yeah, very realistic. You need someone to challenge your thoughts at times. So give you a true perspective. And then the last thing is, if you're feeling that disappointment, think about, was it realistic to expect that, or were you just hoping? Was it just a hope? And if it's just a hope, a shot in the dark, it's like scratching off a lottery ticket, then you need to think about really what you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to accomplish that. If you don't have a set plan in place, if I'm just waking up and you know what, today's the day someone might call me, but I'm not applying and getting my resume out there and making connections, that's just a prayer. And that could be an unanswered prayer. So you just have to be aware about the situation. And I'm going to wrap this up here, but the things that I start to work on, and keep in mind, I'm doing this video today, this vlog, is because these are things that I'm struggling with. Again, I'm doing this journey to let you know these are the realities of my life. And if you're feeling these things too, you're not alone. These are very common things, but how can we approach them together to do this? And my unemployment might be a different scenario in your life, but it could still be resulting in these frustrations. So things that I've really had to stop and work on, and Lauren and I have had very good conversations about these. And unemployment's not the only thing that's frustrating me in life. There's many frustrations, but this is just an easy, clear-cut, concrete example. But things that I have to remind myself is when I'm getting that way, I've started to set a structure up, and I'm looking at employment for 3 hours a day, 4 hours, and that's it. Then I go and I do other things in life, and I have a scheduled routine, because what I was doing, and this was just recently, what I was doing is I'm looking at my computer and just sifting through jobs for 7 hours all day when Lauren would leave and I drop the kids off to when I'd go pick them up, and it would make me even just situational depression of, what am I doing? I can't get any of these jobs. I'm not hearing anything back. And it wasn't healthy. I was too focused on the one situation that was making me frustrated. So I had to set a boundary on what I could do. And so what that looks like now is I need to be present with my life still. I have this glaring need that I'm trying to accomplish that's really causing frustration, but I can't let that consume me. I can focus on it and put all my energy on it for a certain part of the day, but that's not going to affect how good of a parent I am, how good of a husband I am, and being productive in the society the way I deserve. So I have to be present with life and don't miss out on the day-to-day joys. I mean, today's a beautiful, beautiful weather day. I'm going to get outside right after this. My kids are outside playing basketball, and that's where I'm going. Being grateful is another one. Being grateful for what I have. Now that's hard because when I was dealing with depression, you can't just snap out of it. Don't forget, I couldn't snap out of it and say, oh yeah, well, I do have a good job and a good wife and a good life. It's hard to be grateful, but if you're in the state of mind to be able to do that, try it. I laughed with my mom this week and my dad that you know what, a month from now, I'm going to wish that I could roll over, take the kids to school, and then come back home and do whatever I wanted to. I'm going to miss this free time. But so right now, why would I live in just being miserable going throughout it? Why don't I take advantage of it and enjoy it? Because I know that this isn't going to be my reality forever. So just being grateful for what I have and trying to keep a positive perspective. And then the last one, and this is the biggest one that I've had to do, is it's focus on what I can control. In the last part of my quote, I said, I'm going to partner with prayer. I'm going to ask God to give me patience, to give me the belief that He is there with me and He has a plan for me. And that might not be getting an interview tomorrow. That might not be getting an interview next week. But God's going to give me the opportunity to prove myself. I talk a lot about opportunities, but I'm going to focus on what I can control, and I'm going to let go and let God. And a lot of that comes back. A lot of what I talk about is going back to let go and let God. But I have all these thoughts that run through my mind, but I know that God's going to give me the opportunity to prove to the people in New Jersey and New York that I am more than capable. I have, what's happened. What I can do is not what's on paper and what they're concerned about because they don't know me. I'm going to have an opportunity to prove that, but it might not be on my timeline. It might have to be on God's, and that's okay because He's going to put me in the situation to succeed. So thank you for listening about this. If you have frustrations or other one, you can email me, graceinyourcorner@gmail.com. If you have thoughts or things that you do, I'd love to hear them. Go ahead and make sure that, I want to do this. This is for Brody. If you like this on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you smash the like button below and subscribe so we can continue. He always watches videos that say that. But other than that, follow along with my parents' progress on Soul Provider. They're on social media. Soul Provider Sonica. They are going to be opening, a soft opening, a sneak peek next on the 29th Leap of Faith in February. A lot of great things going there and more to come on the Grace in Your Corner outreach program with that too. Other than that, keep telling yourself that you believe it, that you are worth it. Keep telling yourself that God has a plan for you. And again, if those frustrations are coming, it's okay to be frustrated because your expectations of what you deserve are high and you can meet those. But don't let frustration consume your life. God bless everyone. Thank you. Have a great day.